with you. Flip a doujin in the bed, I'm reading manga till it's 2. Tell me that you love a sip, I go, I'm knowing that it's true. Cause you acting all moe and vanilla in my view. So this is for them waifus, straight 2D flex in my life, fool. If you fuck with hands, how you my dude. Let the beat right out, keep it nice and smooth, yo. Hello? Yeah, I got a question.
So I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, is it like canon or
It's not canon.
does it take place within the story?
Okay, One Piece is really easy to make a movie out of because, like, when a new arc starts,
It's always
they essentially
adventures.
go to, like, a new island.
Yeah.
So they go to a new island, essentially. It's like the Las Vegas gold island.
Okay.
It's like gambling, and the guy has, like, gold powers.
Wait a minute. Did you say One Piece this whole time or One Punch Man?
I said One Piece.
I thought you said One Punch this entire time, and I was so excited.
Why would there be a One Punch movie?
I don't know, but I was so excited. I was like, that's awesome.
No.
I was like, that's so weird, but I'm down.
One Piece.
Okay, so now I have a ticket to One Piece. I've never seen One Piece.
No one has.
It was funny because when you told me about it and I was excited, you were excited that I was
like,
excited.
I know.
I was like, why? He knows I love One Punch. I'm still down. Fuck it. I have a ticket. So,
It's too late now.
yeah, it's a cool theater.
So,
I hope this time they don't sell our seats twice.
right. No, One Piece with the pirates and the stretchy and the fruit.
Yeah, I know. I thought you said One Punch with the bald and the punch and the cape.
No, those are no Peace.
Yep.
Are you excited now?
A little less.
No.
So wait, they're going to like some casino island?
Sure. I haven't seen it. And you asked if
That
it's
sounds like a
canon.
mobile game. Like One Punch Casino slots.
It does sound like one. It's been a while.
It has been. I've been sick. Like and
You
like
get sick
gone.
a lot.
I know, dude. I get sick I don't know why. I just get when I get sick, it's bad. I used to never get sick. Now I get sick all the time. But yeah, I've been sick. It's been a busy holiday. What was that?
I better turn that off. That means a new episode of something came out.
Let's get into it.
Let's get into it.
What's up, guys? Welcome to the Weeaboos, the anime podcast where some of the most unqualified people answer your anime questions. I'm Sam.
I'm Kyle.
And that's it. No Hunter, no Jeremy, just us. But that's okay. Let's get into it. Right now, we're drinking beer.
Yeah, we are drinking Full Sail Brewing Company. How do you pronounce that? Wassail?
I don't know.
It's a winter ale. How do you like it, Sam?
It's good. It's kind of hoppy. I'm not a big hop guy, but it's not bad. I like it. I enjoy this beer.
I don't think it tastes too hoppy.
For my preference,
Sure.
I'm like real big into like malty beer.
I would actually kind of say it tastes a little bit malty. I mean, it's a winter ale. It has that kind of... You disagree?
Get out of here.
Okay, whatever.
Maybe it's because I'm sick. Everything tastes weird right now.
yeah.
You guys may have noticed that I've been AWOL like the last 3 or 4 episodes. It's been a very busy holiday.
For all of us.
Through that busyness, I also got sick. I apologize if I sound like I'm dying. I'm not dying, but I was.
Yeah, and we might sound a little bit different than usual, not only because we have new mics, but I moved and we're in a new room now, so...
Check this out. Ayo, wooden floor upgrade.
So yeah. Anyways.
Right. So we're seeing a new One Piece movie like in about a week. Kyle, you don't know anything about it, but I've got a hypothetical question for you.
Well, okay, I know a little bit about it, but yeah, go
Right.
ahead.
Say, for instance, I got the script and I knew all about the movie, knew everything, knew how it ended. Would you want me to tell you everything about the movie before we saw it?
Of course not.
And that's the right answer because fuck spoilers.
Yeah.
Today we're talking about spoilers and, in my opinion, why they are fucking terrible. They are the cancer of like any show or movie, anything.
Okay.
And, you know, just to start out, plain and simple, one spoiler, just one bad spoiler will ruin or can ruin like an entire series.
I hate spoilers as much as anyone else, but I don't think they can completely make something unwatchable, if that's what you're getting at.
And I don't mean unwatchable, but I think it ruins the experience. It completely dulls the experience and makes you if watching the show is like a roller coaster ride, like you're no longer in that ride. Like
Right.
you're watching somebody else ride it.
Okay. Yeah, I think spoilers can take a lot away from the emotional aspect of watching a series, but I don't think they completely ruin the story itself.
Right. I think like one of my favorite examples when it comes to at least a very modern spoiler, a very popular spoiler that's not going to ruin a series, but like kills something amazing is like if you think Star Wars, right? Number 4, 5, and 6. Number 5, I'm pretty sure it's number 5. I'm not like a huge Star Wars guy, but that's the, Luke, I am your father moment.
Yeah.
Okay. And for people who were watching that in theaters when it came out, Luke, I am your father, or whatever the line is, was fucking game changing. Like
Right.
that shit was, oh my God. Now everybody knows it. Everyone knows the reference. And diehard fans who are like, no, you have to watch 4, 5, 6 without knowing anything. Like you'll never have that same experience.
Sure. Yeah, totally. You can only watch something for the first time once. And why would anyone want to take that away from someone else?
Yeah. Well,
Like, the story is just as good, like I said, but I have like a dispassionate disposition. It's hard for me to get legitimately like shocked or cry, or like it's hard for me to like get a really strong emotional evocation from something, and when someone takes that away from me, like that is
sucks.
a huge deal. And anime is the one thing that can really get me invested in something.
I've always been the biggest like anti-spoiler person, which is ironic because I'm also always the guy that tries to like
Yes.
guess what happens, and like I try to like vocalize it and let everyone know like I know what's gonna happen. But there's a fine line between guessing what's gonna happen and having someone tell you what's gonna happen. As an example, there was a show I was watching that I won't name as to not spoil anything for anybody, but I was telling one of our friends, Kevin, about it, and I was like, man, this show is great. General idea of the show, everyone's got powers, and there's like one person who's kind of quirky, a little bit offbeat, and his powers are very different than everybody else's. And I was telling him, yeah, like there's this character, it's cool, he can do this. And Kevin's like, oh, that sounds okay. So I don't know if he like my anime listed it or Wikipedia'd it or whatever, but we're in Skype. And then he was like, oh, are you talking about this character? And I was like, yeah. He was like, oh, that's funny. This character's cool. And I was like, yeah. He was like, oh, I get it. He can do all this stuff because he's not human. And I was like, yo, what the fuck, dude? Like, what? Why would you think that's okay to just tell me? He was like, I thought you watched it. I'm like, I'm on episode 4, dude. Like,
my God.
God damn it.
Jeez.
And the rest of the series, I watched it with this humongous bias.
Right.
Where I was just, anytime I saw him, I was like, fucking not human. You're not what you say you are, you piece of shit. And that was it for the rest of the series.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever had like a huge spoiler like that for me. I'm always constantly spoiled little bit by little bit because I can't come home from work and turn on the computer and
Drink.
Is that a butt? Yeah, I gotta take a drink. Yeah, so I come home from work and I have to watch everything that I'm
love
possibly
that I have
watching.
to watch it.
Well, I have to.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
So yeah, I have to watch everything before getting online because if I don't, there will be an image of something.
Oh, yeah.
So it will never be like life changing if I see like a screen cap from the latest episode of something I haven't seen yet.
Yeah.
But I encounter that a lot. I think it was kind of a false spoiler that really comes to mind in anime was Ava 3.0 came out, but it wasn't subbed yet. So people were watching it and talking about it.
Oh.
And it was really hard to avoid talk about Ava 3.0.
There was a lot of shit that happened in Ava 3.0.
And the one thing I happened to read said that Asuka was Mari's mom in some weird time loop twist. That's obviously not the case. But like I believed it and I was like, how? No. I can't believe I spoiled that for myself. So I watched 3.0 for the first time thinking that was going to happen. It was actually a huge relief to find out that was not the case.
What's funny is I think that is the most common way. Like obviously the story I just told where like Kevin fucked me, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that's a very extreme case, but I think that's not usually how you embark like on spoilers. Usually If you spoil something, it's because you look into the show or the movie way too much before you watch it. In which case, like, too much research is a really bad thing, because you will find out things inevitably that you would not have found out, and like you weren't supposed to know, like just information that you just were not supposed to know, you know?
Yeah.
And I think the reason why people research shit like that so much, and the reason I do it, is because
Yeah, I was going to say, you do it quite a bit.
I do, and I've got stories from that as well, but like watching an anime, especially for someone like me who, I guess compared to some people, I watch a lot, but compared to people like you, I watch not much at all. I'm very particular with what I do watch because I don't have a lot of time to watch everything.
Sure.
So because it's such an investment, I want to know that this anime is worth the investment.
And I can understand that, but at the same time, sometimes you just got to trust me, because like the moment I say we're watching something, you pull out your phone and like, I'm like, Sam, just wait 1 second. Like, I have it. We're going to watch it regardless. Just calm down.
I know. That happened to me with Bleach. A buddy, I'd never watched Bleach. I had watched a lot of anime and just never watched Bleach because I was like, I'm not about to dive into this several hundred episode thing. And he was like, my buddy at work was like, no, dude, just watch this one fight. You can find it online.
Right.
It was the Ulquiorra fight.
That's a big one.
Arguably the best fight in the series.
Arguably. Best
And-
animated, at least.
Yeah, and I watched it before I saw episode 1 of Bleach. And when I got to that part finally, like 200 episodes later, instead of like when he goes full hollow, instead of that...
Spoilers.
Whatever. Instead of that like riveting, oh my God experience.
Here it is.
It dulled it to, haha, oh yeah. Like, it killed it. And it was super cool, but when I was watching it out of context, it did draw me in, but it meant nothing to me. And then because I watched it out of context already, once I got there, it was like remembering the scene as opposed to watching it.
Right. And I completely agree with you. But at the same time, that kind of leads to, like, if I had to force myself to think of one positive aspect of spoilers, it would be spoilers can grant someone the opportunity to watch something that they would never watch otherwise.
Yeah.
For example, I'm taking all you guys to the One Piece movie next week.
Yeah.
None of you are ever going to watch or read One Piece. I guarantee it.
So much.
But maybe this movie will help. Like, maybe there's something about this movie that will just really entice you into at least consider starting it. Because right now, you're not going to.
Maybe. Like, it's one of those things where short's always been on my radar, but I am so done, I think, with 100 episode long shonens, you know?
I guess, but it's like, it's the last one.
For now.
For now.
In 5 years, there'll be another one. If Hero Academia doesn't become that.
Yeah, we'll see. So, in regards to researching shows before you start them.
Right.
I even feel like knowing the director or studio gives me more information than I'd like before starting the anime.
Really?
And it's like, oh, it's an anime by Akiyuki Shimbo. Get ready for goth lollies with blonde hair. If it's Hideki Anno, expect very intrinsic storytelling with themes of loneliness and sexual imagery.
But that's different, though, isn't it?
Well, it's not spoilers. It's just like foreshadowing, essentially.
Right.
'Cause you-
That's like listening to and buying an album because you like that artist.
right.
Like, you just stylistically, you're drawn to that.
But at the same time, I mean, I would argue that, and maybe I can see people arguing the opposite, but I would say music and albums don't have the same story structure as like actual things like anime and movies.
If we relate it to spoilers, have you ever watched a series or a movie of anime that was directed by somebody you knew or a studio that is known for a very certain thing, and as soon as you knew this person made it, you had ideas of what was going to happen in the story? Like, has that ever happened?
Yeah.
The only thing I can maybe think is like Occultic 9, which I haven't really watched all the way through, but you can tell it has very like strong similarities.
I can't think of specific examples off the top of my head.
Right.
But yeah, directors and especially screenwriters tend to write the same stories.
That do you tend to try to avoid that information, or do you just inevitably figure it out?
Well, I kind of enjoy figuring it out because like I won't always look at the directors and studios and then I'll start a show and say, oh, it's A1 Pictures. Oh, it's Masaki Yuasa, and then I look it up and I'm like, oh, cool, I was right.
I've tried doing that for things like going in blind intentionally to like not bias myself.
Right.
It's hard though, especially for bigger things.
It is, and like that even leads me into how I'm starting to become almost anti-movie trailer
Really?
because nowadays we don't like. I would much rather see like a clip from a movie than a trailer, because a trailer is like, this is the entire outline for the movie. This is what to expect.
Right.
And I don't want that. I enjoy seeing like aesthetically, like when I watch anime trailers, like I don't have the dialogue. I don't understand Japanese. They're not translated. So I just watch it for the style, and I don't really know the context for the most part. And I like that.
Not all anime movie trailers, but a lot of them are subbed like pretty quickly. I feel like a lot, well, maybe it's because I'm just not incredibly current.
Well, maybe like what's fast to you isn't fast to me.
Oh, that's true.
But I see nothing wrong really with going into research. It's just, I like going in with as little context as possible.
Yeah, I've always been someone who, like, I know I was just saying, like, I try to, or lately I've been trying to go in blind for some things. It's really hard for me, though. I like reviews. To be honest, personally, I much prefer watching something and then seeing a review for it later, just because I like to compare, like, perceptions, like, how did I see it? How did they see it?
Same.
But when it comes to reviews, I think that's clearly the most common thing people go to, like, before they watch something. Like, it makes sense. Like, you watch a review to see if other people enjoyed it. And there are spoiler-free and non-spoiler-free reviews. But even a spoiler-free review, if you watch too many of them, like, you really have to cool it. Or you have to be careful with
totally.
reviews. Because I found this with some shows and a lot of games where everyone's different, you know? Like, you might find 15 reviews in a row that say this anime sucks.
Sure.
But there are a lot of animes that suck that I really enjoy.
Right.
And what'll happen is if you continue to just read into reviews saying, oh, this sucks, that sucks, I hate this part, I hate that part, you're going to watch it, even if you don't intend to, with some sort of bias. You know, you're going to be looking for the shit that they picked out. And the same thing happens in reverse. If, you know, there's a critically acclaimed show or movie, and they're like, oh, everything's great, the soundtrack was amazing, and then you watch it, and you're going to be like, oh my God, you're right, it's to die for.
Like, I want to come back to that specifically, but I do that. Like, I don't read reviews before watching, but what I do is I'll look at the score of something. So I'll say, oh, this anime is a 7 on my anime list.
Yeah.
I'll check it out. But then I go into the show with a 7 mentality, and like,
No, nothing specific though.
right. So at the end of the day, I'll be like, okay, that was a 7. When in reality, I probably should have gone in blind and created that score for myself. Because even if when I finished that series and I ended up thinking it's like a 7.5, that's still different.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think what's interesting though is with anime, one thing that I have found definitely is at least the like if you look at the highest ranking anime in general,
Oh, yeah.
it's in my opinion fairly accurate. Like they do I think so. Like I think they do a pretty good job.
I think it reflects popularity.
Oh yeah, that's true. Well, I typically when I look at reviews, I'm specifically talking about my anime list. Like if you go there, you can see highest rated, and there's a separate section for most popular.
Right. I think they're the same.
They're not. They're different.
Well, you know what I mean. Generally speaking, I see very little difference between the two.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. But in terms of usually I go with most popular. Like if I'm going to look for reviews, I look for most popular and I see where it's ranked and then kind of go from there. But there's definitely truth to reviews.
Right. I just personally don't like looking at them until afterward.
No, I agree. That's typically how I'd use reviews.
I do remember there actually was one thing I was majorly spoiled on.
Oh, really?
Yes, and that was Game of Thrones. It wasn't anime.
Ooh.
But
did you actually watch are you up to date?
I'm up to date.
I've never seen any of them.
I'm up to date. Jeremy spoiled it for me.
That bastard.
Because I guess he assumed I would never watch it, and I think he was right, but the moment he spoiled like a big character death for me, I was like, out of bitterness, I was like, I'm gonna watch the whole damn series now. So I think that's honestly, like, maybe that's what it takes to persuade me to watch some things, is to spoil it for me.
I can honestly say I hated, what's the stupid drill show?
Drill Master. Oh, Gurren Lagann.
Gurren Lagann, thank you. did not, as everyone knows, I did not enjoy Gurren Lagann.
Right, and we spoiled that for you.
And ever since you spoiled it, I've wanted to watch it.
Yeah.
Nonstop. Like, I was, time skip? What? Like,
Yeah.
ever since the screenshot that I saw came up, I was like, man, I'm an idiot. And
Yeah.
that goes to show that maybe kind of listen to reviews. Like, if something is renowned as
Right.
being amazing and you're just like, this is dumb,
But
maybe you're wrong.
Right, and I forget, I didn't love Gurren Lagann, like, as I watched it for the first time either.
Really?
It took me until that time skip.
Why didn't you tell me that?
Because you don't listen to always.
No, I listened. I almost dropped Hunter x Hunter.
Well, probably because I didn't want to spoil you.
I almost dropped Hunter x Hunter in the, like, ant arc.
That's the best arc.
I know, and I told you. I remember one night I came over, and I had just started watching it, and I was like, Hunter, I was like, Kyle, I'm like 100 episodes into Hunter x Hunter, and then you were like, really? And I was like, yeah, but like I hate this
I remember
arc,
this.
all the ants, and I was like, I don't know, this
got mad.
arc is stupid, and you were like, Sam, like your hands went to your sides, you were like, Sam, that is the best arc, and I was like, oh, okay.
You didn't believe me.
I know you got mad, and I was like, okay, and I kept watching, and I was like, oh shit,
Damn.
I was wrong.
So-
You can't be wrong.
Something we have not talked about yet is a very popular study regarding spoilers.
Which is
That you don't know. I think I asked you beforehand and you have not heard of it.
I don't know what you're talking about.
So, I believe it was the University of California that did a study that proved spoilers increase enjoyment of a series.
I call bullshit.
Well, they did a study.
Actually, I can see that. And the only reason is because when you know something is going to happen, but it's so far away, sometimes it's more interesting trying to figure out how it gets there.
Right.
You know, like if someone tells you your house is going to light on fire and you, or someone, okay, how about this? What if someone told you how you were going to die, but they didn't tell you when you were going to die? Anytime you were in that kind of scenario, you'd be like, man, is this like, it drives curiosity.
Right. I guess. The experiment was they gave half of their test subjects, well, they gave all of their test subjects short stories. They spoiled half of them. And the ones who finished the spoiled versions rated those stories higher, enjoyment-wise.
Maybe it's because they couldn't be disappointed. I mean, doesn't that make sense?
There's a lot of different reasons.
Either you're going to like a show or you're not, right? Like you're either going to like the story or you're not going to like the story. If someone doesn't like the story and they already know how it's going to end, they can't really be spoiled. Like it's not going to ruin anything.
I suppose. The theory is best explained through this analogy, which is when you take this really long road trip for the first time, you are entirely focused on the road and and how you reach your destination. But if you already take that same trip, you're familiar with the destination and you can focus less on the road, which allows you to take in the scenery and the overall experience. That is kind of what they're going for in this study, trying to prove. And I don't entirely agree with this study. Yes, I mean,
Wait, so you're saying when they know what's going to happen on the road trip, they can enjoy the scenery?
you don't have to focus on, like, okay, to not use an analogy,
Right.
like when you're watching a movie for the first time, you are focused on plot, and nothing else.
Right.
But when you know what's going to happen, you can focus less on the plot and more on all the subtle details, like foreshadowing and like just background characters and composition and all these other things. Whereas if you're watching it like completely unspoiled, your main focus is purely one aspect of the story.
That's interesting. Because there are a lot of people who say, you know, they liked watching something better the second time. And it probably plays along that same line.
Right. And like I said, I don't completely agree with this study. I think, yes, when you're more familiar with a work of art or a story or a song, you will have a greater appreciation for it. And it's true, like from a critical standpoint, you will have the utmost understanding of a story, or in order to have the utmost understanding of a story, you need to focus equally on all aspects of the story, not just the main plot. But you can watch something more than once.
Right.
Like,
Doesn't it matter what's more important to you, though? Because for me, I think
No.
the story is the most important. Well, okay.
okay,
Hear me out, though.
okay.
So I remember there was a time where I don't remember what we were watching, but we were watching some movie and you said the problem with like long anime, like movies, something like that, is that you literally feel tired or like exhausted after watching it because you concentrate so hard on each scene and each picture because you try to appreciate it like as much as you can.
Yeah.
And that's an awesome thing. But as much as I love anime, I can honestly say I don't do that. Like I don't get mentally exhausted when I watch something because when I watch, my main focus isn't, wow, look how all of this is presented to me. My main focus is what am I being told? Very literal.
Right.
And so I think it depends because to a lot of people might have my mindset where you watch it once and all you're evaluating is what you're being told, not necessarily how it's being presented.
Right. And I'm saying you're not getting everything out of it that way. You are not fully utilizing what the story is presenting to you through that method. But that is what rewatching is for.
Right.
Like this study is essentially saying is left out the fact that people rewatch things.
Last night, we watched Princess Mononoke in theater, and that was my second time watching it. How many times did you watched it since
That's
or
a good
before?
question. 1, 2. If I had to guess, that was like my fifth time.
Fifth time watching it. So that was my second time watching it. I can definitely say, well, maybe not definitely. I think this time watching it, I absolutely did pay more attention to things. Take a
That's a
drink.
butt.
That's a total drink.
Yeah.
This time watching it, I definitely did pay a lot more attention to kind of intricacies and really tiny details about certain characters. And I noticed a lot of really cool little things in the scenes that I never noticed before.
Yeah.
My overall outlook on the series or the show, the movie.
The movie.
My overall outlook on the movie was the same. Like I perceived it the same at the very end. But while I was watching it, I enjoyed it more while I was watching it.
I think that's kind of, that's awesome. I think it's kind of unique to Ghibli movies though, because they're very atmospheric. They're about the journey. So like enjoying the watching process is kind of a cool thing to do when rewatching a Ghibli movie. With Princess Mononoke, and this might be getting off topic, I really enjoy when I rewatch it to essentially pick a different side. So like I'll watch it once and I'll side with Ashtaka, and I'll see the world from his perspective, and then I'll watch it again and watch it from Princess Mononoke's perspective, and then like the wolves' perspective and the apes, and I'll switch, and like from Lady Yaboshi's perspective. And when I do that, like I just love to understand how like there's no antagonist in that movie. No one's wrong. Everyone's
I was about to
justified.
say, this might be like fairly off topic,
Yeah,
but like
I'm just talking
absolutely,
about-
I think that's one of the beautiful aspects of that movie is that there really isn't a main villain. You can even argue that for a moment, the deer god is like the villain.
Yeah,
and you're like, what?
And Ashtaka, like everyone, like because everyone just has their own ideals.
No, like it's an amazing movie. Without a doubt, it's a fucking masterpiece. But
a different topic.
yeah,
So I love that movie.
yeah, we're gonna have an entire episode on.
We should do a Ghibli episode.
That'd be cool. Just a plain old Ghibli episode.
Yeah. But I think one other factor that aids to that study is that I feel like people are spoiled, no pun intended, and kind of dumb. We like to think we understand everything about a movie. So being spoiled beforehand makes us feel smarter.
I mean, that's the same reason why people try to guess what happens.
Right,
Because they
exactly.
want to be like, I'm right. You're
Right.
not going to get me.
Yes. Anyways, I think that wraps it up on spoilers for the most part. What do you think?
Yeah, I think we did a pretty good job. Nice job, Kyle.
Yeah, nice job.
Who needs Hunter and Jeremy?
Yeah.
Yeah, fuck them.
Screw those guys.
I hope they come back.
I miss them so much. Want to answer some questions?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Do you mind if I answer a question kind of directed towards me?
Yeah, ask the question, but put my name in instead.
Okay. Well, Sam, what made you want to make anime GIFs? What is your favorite anime? And that's from Zomboy.
Zomboy! Dude, I was at Decadence this New Year, and Zomboy was there.
What?
It was so dope. New Year's was awesome. That's mostly why I'm sick. I don't make anime gifs, so I'll answer that.
Okay, why do I make anime, or what made me start making anime gifs? Kind of a long story, actually. Back in high school, like junior year, I had been watching a lot of anime, and I had no one to talk about anime with. And I was looking online. I wanted to get involved in the anime community. Because without getting involved, I was just someone watching anime alone in my room. So I found Tumblr, and I eventually started just as an art blog. I would find art related to series I liked and post that. And then I eventually, just kind of on a whim, more or less, thought that Tumblr was suited for GIFs, and I got into the GIFing community. And I was terrible at first, and I got better and better. But I essentially got in because I wanted to be part of the community. I wanted to share my passion for anime with other people in a way that only I could do at the time. Like anyone could post art, but you have to have a slight degree of
Not
finesse.
to make this like super interviewy, but when you started making GIFs, like at this point, you're as far as like anime GIFs on Tumblr go, like you're pretty, well known.
Somewhat, yes.
Yeah. When you first started, did you have any idea or like any expectation or like a goal with how big you wanted to get, or did you just do it for fun, just to contribute?
I started by doing it for fun. There was kind of like a curve. I started to see the rise of followers, and when that happened, I got a lot more passionate. Like I wanted to really, properly express how much I love anime. So I wanted to get better at making GIFs, and I had nothing to do with it. I was a high school student. I didn't have a job, and like I didn't need a job, so I just devoted all my time to watching anime and making GIFs, and people loved it, and I got better at making GIFs. And so that's what encouraged me to continue doing my best and making it grow. Now I'm a little apathetic towards GIF making because it's a little oversaturated. There's so many, like anyone can make a GIF now, whereas back in the day, and still to a certain degree, it's hard to make a GIF within a certain file size limit, because Tumblr has a really minor, like a super low, it's like 2 megabytes for a GIF. That's it.
Small.
That's it.
How do you make anything high res?
You have to be good.
Ooh.
Wink. So yeah, well, it was 1 meg back in the day.
Gross.
Yeah, they were gross back in the day.
Probably works really well on mobile.
It does. Most people like strictly use Tumblr mobile.
I bet that's why they have that size cap.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm a little less invested in GIF making. I still do it. It's almost like therapeutic at this point. I like going frame by frame through different animations. That's that. Let's answer a question that both of us can answer. But thank you for the question. The History Channel asks, what do anime openings and endings mean
The
to
entire channel?
you? Yeah. What do anime openings and endings mean to you?
Like the opening theme and
Yeah.
a lot.
Yeah.
So I do this thing where for the very first episode and very last episode of every arc/series, if it's only like a 12 episode thing, that's the only time I watch the whole intro and whole outro, unless I really like it, like just for the song aspect.
It's catchy.
Yeah, but the reason I watch the whole intro and outro is because for the first episode, I want to get the entire experience. And the intro and outro are a huge part. If you look at something like Hunter x Hunter, very specifically, this is the most specific example I can give. The last episode of the anime, the episode had no intro. And for the entire like 150 whatever episodes there are, there was always I think it was the same intro. They had a different outro each time, but the intro was always the same. And on the very last episode, they had no intro, and instead of the outro, they had the intro again.
Yeah.
And it was so meaningful to me because when you watch something, the intro is what drives you in. Like sometimes that is what you remember more than anything. Like you hear the intro and you're just like, I'm back. Fuck yeah. Like I remember that.
Right.
And with a show like that, with no intro in the beginning, they were like, look, man, right to business. It was really cool. And then at the end, they ended it with the intro. And it was like, this isn't the end of anything. Like this is the beginning of just another adventure.
Totally.
And that was absolutely the most beautiful way to use intro outro.
Yeah, openings and endings to me are just the embodiment of that series.
Yeah.
Honestly, they are better representations of the series than trailers.
Without a doubt. To take it just a second out of anime, I've told people, and they think I'm like weird for saying this, especially when I was younger. If I would like shop for clothes, a lot of what would dictate where I'd shop is like what music they would play in the store.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's like if they played music I didn't like, I'd be like, you know what? No, this store doesn't know
gosh,
me, and
get out.
I'd walk out. And if as everyone knows, I suck Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood's dick and talk about it all the time.
It has one of the best openings.
And not only the best openings, if we look at just the outros, every outro perfectly reflects that arc, because each arc has its own outro, and it perfectly reflects the mood, the setting, the context of that arc. And you can almost, if you just listen to the outros back to back to back, you will notice all the very, very different like moods and ambiances that it's like.
Totally. And you can't really complain about liking one intro or outro more than another, because they are contextual. They make sense within that arc.
Right.
So they're so powerful within their own little story. That's what I love about those.
It's a tool that I think can be used very effectively, unless you're
always.
Death Note, in which case your intro is going to be fucking stupid.
I think Jeremy likes it.
What? Isn't it the just like, no, God,
I
no.
know.
It is awful. If you like the Death Note intro, you're a special kind of person.
Don't say Don't be mean.
No, fuck all of you.
So, yeah. Openings are cool.
Yeah.
Well, the new season started. New anime season has just begun.
I'm so excited.
What are you excited for, Sam?
Anime.
Yeah, me too. So the new season started, and it's only been going on for like a day or two. And I think I've only watched about 3 things. I've watched Masamune-kun, Yojo Senki, the first 2 episodes of Fuka, and Ao Exorcist season 2. So those are the 4 things I've watched so far. I'll get into my opinions on those in a little bit, but let's go through. I didn't do too much research, which is kind of appropriate for our spoiler topic. But I kind of just went through the list once, eyeballed it. I pulled out what seemed good to me. There are probably a few more. It's a pretty weak season, to be honest. But let's go through what looks okay. So, Konosuba Season 2. For those of you who listen to my top 10, Konosuba Season 1 was on that. So that'll be fun to check out. Sam's pulling out his phone because he needs to read the synopsis and spoil it. Let's see. Kobayashi-san, Shino Maid Dragon is kind of what it sounds like if you pulled out the word maid and dragon. Looks pretty fun, I guess. ACCA, or Aka, I don't know how to pronounce it. Looks pretty cool. It has a very unique art style. Unless it's Onihei. I don't know anything about Onihei either, but that also looks very interesting visually. Season 2 of Yowamushi Pedal looks pretty good. I mean, Yowamushi Pedal's fantastic. Big announcement is the Little Witch Academia series is coming out this season. Anything to say about it?
Whoa.
Whoa, yeah.
I've never seen Little Witch Academia either.
Who did I watch it with?
Probably Hunter. Hunter loves it, and he tells me to watch it a lot.
Probably Hunter then. I don't think he's seen the second movie, so maybe if you watch the first, we could watch the second as a group.
Okay.
Then Demi-chan wa Katiritai? That's basically Monster Musume, but instead of monster girls, they're like demi-human girls. So like one girl's a succubus. Yeah, she's probably gonna be my favorite.
Of course she is.
Let's see. Big news. Rakugo Season 2 was also on my top 10. Season 1 was on my top 10. So that is hopefully going to be amazing. I'm really looking forward to that. I think the episode's actually out. I haven't been able to watch it yet. Ao Exorcist. Now, I did watch...
Is Rakugo the like art one? Or the theater one?
Theater storytelling one.
Yes, that sounded awesome.
Yes, that made my top 10. Season 2 is out now.
Nice.
You gonna watch it? I'll take that as a no. So I watched the first episode of Ao no Extra season 2. I remembered that season 1 was pretty mediocre, but it's been 6 years since season 1. So it's been a minute since I've seen that, and it brought back some mediocre to decent memories. I had some good times watching it. It's a shonen. Fuka. I watched the first 2 episodes of Fuka. Now people are talking about Fuka like there's a secret about it. Like you don't know what's in store for Fuka. Like there's gonna be like it sounds like they're talking about school days, and I'm skeptical. It looks so familiar. I swear I've read this manga. If it's a manga, like I know I've seen it somewhere. So it was good. I mean, it was fine, but it wasn't bad. I'm just curious as to what all the hubbub is about. You know, all the talk. I did watch Yojo Senki, which is by a brand new studio. I don't love shows that are really political. I like if a show opens up with a world map burning and exposition saying like in this year this war broke out and this division did this to the other side. I don't like that sort of exposition. I feel like it should happen more naturally. And then politics are just a little bit boring. It's extremely similar to Izetta from last season. It's magic in a war setting. It's a little bit darker and has a little less lesbians in it. But like
How much is a little less lesbians?
Like-
Is that like no lesbians or like there's one less lesbian?
there was not, I didn't notice any lesbians,
Okay.
but that's besides the point. I did not like the visual contrast between the men and the women. The men look completely normal, but the women look like fish. They are so...
What kind of fish?
I don't know.
Salmon?
Pixar fish.
Salmon? Trout? Tuna?
This
Swordfish?
is not a good bit.
Pufferfish?
I don't like your
Clownfish?
And I watched Masamune-kun. I actually read this manga, so I know what to expect. It was a decent adaptation. The story itself is average, not super exciting. It's kind of funny. It's passable, but I like the style. It's cute, I suppose. So, and those are the only shows I noted down. So nothing too outstanding aside from second seasons. Those are shows to look forward to. We will be talking about those more, or at least I will be talking about those more.
I'll try my best.
Well, you don't need to watch something for this season. I would just as well like you to watch something you haven't seen before, like finish Cowboy Bebop.
Who said I haven't finished Cowboy Bebop?
I can see it on your face.
You can't even see my face.
Where'd he go?
I can't do it.
So, please keep sending us questions. You can send us questions and episode topics.
No one, and I mean no one, sits in a chair like that.
I do,
That is not good for your back.
but it's sexy.
Yep.
So please keep sending us episode topics and questions. You can send questions to us on theweeaboos@gmail.com, at theweeaboos on Twitter, and to me at Secret Otaku on Tumblr. We want to get the word out, so reblogging our episodes really helps, or sharing them with your friends on YouTube, whatever you want to do.
Or your family. Let your family know you watch anime.
Yeah,
It's
listen to
okay.
this. Listen to this with your family
Yeah.
in the car.
Yeah. On a long road trip.
Yeah. Give us an iTunes review if you feel like it. Those are really helpful for us. And we want to thank Hentai Dude for our intro music, Kid Boo for our outro music. And like always, get
Drunk and?
anime.
Hey, changing it up.
See you guys next week.
Peace.
You can catch me smoking a sour off the coast of Okinawa. Feeling so high like I'm Ho-Oh in that tower. Take a flight on some shit. Got my dogs riding beside me, blazing hot. That's kamikaze, sacred fire. Don't be mad, I'm lit. Catch me smoking a sour off the coast of Okinawa. Feeling so high like I'm Ho-Oh in that tower. Take a flight on some shit. Got my dogs riding beside me, blazing hot. That's kamikaze, sacred fire. Don't be mad, I'm lit.
I would have preferred if Rukia was like with Chad.
What?
You know what would have been cool?
No.
If Rukia was with the Quincy. I forget his name.
What are you?
Yeah. That'd have been cool.
That makes zero sense.
No, you know why it makes sense?
No.
Well, first off, it's like a Romeo and Juliet type thing.
Except no, because they have no chemistry.
Yeah. Okay. Hold on. It's like the Romeo and Juliet thing because like, oh, we're not. We're literally opposites. And on top of that, they're both they're both kind of prissy. You know, he's very snobby.
Rukia is not prissy,
but she comes from a royal family.
but she was adopted.
She was adopted?
Yes.
These are things that I didn't know.
Those are things still in the anime.
Well, clearly I didn't pay attention. I watched all of it in a week. A lot of things just kind of flew by.